jump statements gives you additional control over the flow of your code. So with jump statements, there are four that you can use. There's the break, continue, return, and go to. So let's go through each one of them. So first up is the break statement. So if you have already encountered the switch statement, you might already be familiar with the use of break within the switch statement. So as you can see, break is used within each of the case section, including the default, because the switch statement doesn't allow you to uh, fall through the controls within the switch statement. Okay, so using break for each of the cases lets you terminate or exit out of your switch statement. Okay, and so next up would be another use for break is when you want to exit out of a for loop. So that could be any kind of for loop, any of the for loops that uh, are available for you. You have the for loop, the for each loop, the while loop, and then the do while loop. So break within your loop would be exiting out of your closest loop. Okay, so that means that in this case we have our example in wherein we've iterated through this array of codes, and then if we encounter a value that is equal to -1, then we added this break statement here, which means that if this is being satisfied, then it will exit out of the for each loop. Okay, and then the break can also be used within nested for loops or within nested loops. Okay, so we have here another example wherein we have initialized a, a list of teams, and in each of the team we have also an array of scores. Okay, and so now we have here our loops. We have two for loops, the main loop and then the inner for loop. Okay, the main loop would just show the team name, and then the inner loop would display the scores for each of the team. Okay, so now here if you notice in this line 53 we have this uh, section here. We have conditional statement that has a break, which means that if the scores or one of the scores is less than 5, then it would terminate this for loop or exit out of this inner loop. Okay, but it won't exit out of your main loop. So you have to remember that the break in a whatever loop it is, it will only exit out of its closest loop. Okay, and so yeah, if we try this one, quickly run to see the results of this uh, code. So here we have, I guess, let's just do this one at a time. So let's comment this out first so that we'll see the example for this for this one. Let's skip this switch one. Okay, let's try commenting this out first, and then let's just run this uh, section here. So again, it will go through the loop, and then if it encounters a negative or a -1 value, then it would just exit out of the loop. All right, here. So yeah, I think I have. Let me just quickly because I might have. Okay. Just ignore the eight. It's just comment this out first. We'll get through this section. Okay. All right. Let's hide this first. We'll get to this a bit later. Okay, let's go back here. So if we uh, add a breakpoint here, and then let's go through each of uh, this section of code. If we continue, and then first yeah, this wouldn't be satisfied since the code item would be equal to 1, which is this would result into false. Then it will just continue up until we reach our code item would be equal to -1. Okay, so now code item would be -1, which means that it would satisfy this if statement, and then it would execute the break, and then will exit out of this for each loop. All right, then let's continue. And then yes, you can see that you've already or only displayed up to 1, 2, and 3 values. Okay, so that's for your break for a single loop. Let's comment this out and then let's go to this part. So for this one, breaks in our nested loop. Okay, if we try running this one and then let's hit a breakpoint here, right? Let's run this quickly. Then it should hit here since one of the team scores is already below 5, and then it would just exit out of the inner for loop. And if we continue, then it would go to the next team. Okay, then it will just exit out. All right, and so yeah, that's how your uh, break for, or I mean uses of breaks in for loops or in loops. Okay, now next is let's quickly comment this one out so we can move to the next one. Let's head on to the continue. Okay, with continue, it would let you skip an iteration. So in this case, we have here an array of integers. And so if our condition here is if it's equal to 0, we did a remainder operation here so that we could determine if it's an even number. So if it's an even number, then we just skip. We don't need to write it down on the output. Okay, so if we run this quickly, skip that one, you should see that the result is it's only displaying odd numbers. Okay, since we have this uh, if statement here that would skip using the continue statement. All right, so continue is useful for breaking out of I mean for skipping some certain uh, based on certain conditions for your for loops or loops. And so that's one way of you can use continue. Okay, let's just close this one. So let's move on to the next jump statement. One of the jump statements is the return statement. All right, return from the word itself would mean that it would return or go back to where it was being called from. All right, so this we have two examples here, two methods that we have used the return. Right, so first one would be this sum. The sum method would have an expression value or returns an expression of the sum of x and y. All right, and then a return could also be just an empty return, which means that it would just exit out of your method without returning any specific value. Okay, so if we quickly run this one, we should see first result would be the sum of 5 and 3. We have here 8, but then the other method is didn't show us any kind of message, since when we called the show bonus points and passed in a score of 45, then it satisfied this if statement, which is when the score is less than 50, then it would just return, which means it would just exit out of this method. Okay, without continuing with the rest of its code below it. Okay, so but if we do set this at any number higher than 50, then we should be able to get that 10 bonus points message, since it wasn't or didn't satisfy this if condition or if statement here. So that's one way of using your returns. Uh, One thing also is that you can also use return in within your switch statements. So instead of break, you can just use return whatever value, and then yeah, that should be of one way of using return within a case statement, right? And lastly, we have our go to statement. So you have to uh, be quite like careful with using the go to statement, since with the power of go to you can just literally just go whatever part, or jump or skip to whatever part of your code, which means that yeah, you could easily get, or you could easily end up with spaghetti code. So might as well modify your logic to as much as possible uh, not use a go-to statement. But in this case, just showing you an example here. So we have again our for loop that goes through this array of integers. And then if the integer is less than or equal to 0, then we go through this statement of go to, and then you have this label. So that label is placed outside of the for loop, which is placed here, and then it has the body of just showing you this message of invalid number. So if we run this one, once it encounters the -1 value, then it would jump out of this for loop and then execute whatever is under this notify invalid number label. Okay, so that's how easy you can use goto. So again, just a reminder, be careful of this goto statement because it could easily lead you to spaghetti code. And so yeah, that would be your jump statements.